Hello, my name is Paige Secorfis. I am from Troop 33 and I will be presenting my lighting design for Beauty and the Beast by Linda Wolverton. So this was my first design that I've ever done. Yep, last year was actually my first year with the troop. So there was a lot of challenges to overcome while making this design, but I'm very proud of how it turned out. So I wanted to show you my three top designs cues that I did. So my first one is from Gaston, the song. It's where right at the end when everybody from both ensembles is singing Gaston, and it really is just embodying the amount of like the lack of humbleness that Gaston has. So I wanted to make sure that I made him the center of attention. No matter what else was going on, the lights were all on him. So his blocking was to stand on top of a bench in the center of the stage. So I wanted to direct a spotlight straight at him, and then around the spotlight be a gel number 316, which is a deep yellow, and I wanted it to be broken up by a medium-sized breakup gobo, as you can see here. That breakup gobo would just kind of like add a little bit of chaos to around him, but still bring all the attention to him. And then I also wanted to make sure that the pools that were washing the stage around him were cool, just to kind of contrast from him to just bring even more attention to him, just to like show how big he thinks of himself, you know? And then for my second design was during Be Our Guest. During Be Our Guest, it's all chaos. But I wanted to make sure that right at the end it really had a big moment to focus on Lumiere and Belle. So I had Lumiere and Belle are standing in the middle of the stage right at the end, and I wanted to make sure that we had 3 spotlights on the both of them as opposed to just 2, so that it can kind of sort of bring it to make it look like it's just one big spotlight and make it sort of signify their friendship that's growing and everything that's going on, how, you know, Lumiere's kind of been super nice to Belle. I had warm pools covering the stage so that it kind of signifies a warmer atmosphere versus Gaston's in the bar. Because Belle has had a big problem in the castle so far, and this is the first time that she really feels welcomed. I also added a breakup or a polka dot gobo with a deep blue gel in the back of the stage, directed at the backdrop. I just got this inspiration from a picture I saw online, and I thought it looked really cool and sort of added to the magical feeling of the fact that there's, you know, talking people and talking napkins and talking silverware and stuff, so I thought that that would kind of add to the magical feel. For my last cue that I wanted to show you, it's during the transformation scene right at the end, when Beast transforms into a prince. Now, luckily for me, my troop decided that we were going to have it so that the Beast was and the Prince were played by 2 different actors. So instead of having to keep the lights off and directed away from the actors for long enough for them to get Beast out of his makeup and costume, all I had to do was kind of direct the lights away from them for long enough for them to switch out the actors. So what I decided to do was, we had a rose, the magical rose, in the middle of the stage. So I decided to focus a spotlight really, really, really strictly right on that rose. And then have a gobo that's kind of a swirl around it. It's gobo number 77761. And so it kind of leaves the spotlight to do its own thing while showing the magic coming out from the rose. And the gel that I used was a deep, deep yellow, just to kind of show like the magical sort of feel, you know. And then I also added 2 lights with cloudy breakup gobos going onto the side of the auditorium, just to kind of encase the audience in the feel of the magic of the moment, and to also direct their attention away from the switching actors. There were a lot of problems while doing this. Our show was canceled due to COVID before we could get into the deep part of design, and then on top of that, when we came back, after COVID, there was a lot of problems. There were some unknown people who got into our lighting and switched the wiring to it. So when you put up one slider, there's a different light that shows up, and they also left the lights on for a very long time over the summer, which led to most of our pool lights and most of our source floors having blown LEDs. Not blown LEDs, blown light bulbs. So we're still fixing that right now, so I wasn't able to get any photos of what my lighting design would actually look like, so I did my best to draw it out onto the setups of our stage. But yeah, I would say that my biggest setback was probably coming up to school after the quarantine had ended and seeing that all the lights were mixed up, because I was fine with being able to just show my design on a blank stage, and that's how I planned it out, but then realizing that I wouldn't be able to do that for this really set me back. But what I learned the most was learning how to work with the other techs before school had gotten canceled. I did a lot of work with the other technical departments, trying to figure out what would work with the costumes and what didn't. I would always, the way I would do it is I would come up with an idea in my head, and then I would test it against the set and the costumes, and if it didn't work out, I'd have to change it. So yeah, that was probably my biggest learning curve, because it was my first time ever doing this. And if I had more time and resources, I would probably invest in some moving lights for the transformation scene, because I feel like if we were able to have the swirl kind of moving around the rose, that really would have made it just that much better. And I found another gobo online that unfortunately we couldn't afford, but it was roses, and I think having the yellow roses on the wall instead of the yellow storm breakup would have just made it so much more beautiful. But unfortunately that didn't happen, and I really like how it turned out without it anyway, so it's not that big of a deal, but if I were to have that, that's what I would want. So yeah, thank you.